Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to MyPillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. MyPillow.com, promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Breaking news overnight, Department of Justice sources say the FBI has launched criminal investigations of both John Brennan and James Comey. Stick around today. You're going to want to hear all about this. In another investigation, the White House is waiving executive privilege for President Joe Biden's doctor, Kevin O'Connor, in the ongoing cover-up probe of the Biden administration. In the latest tell-all book about the Biden administration, we learned that Biden's handler scrambled to change his personal cell phone number after a journalist reached him on his cell phone and Biden answered the call. President Trump received another U.S. Supreme Court victory yesterday as the court agreed to allow the Trump administration to continue slashing jobs in federal agencies to cut the federal workforce as required in an executive order. We got another busy day, a lot to talk about. Let's get started.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Former CIA Director John Brennan, former FBI Director James Comey are now under investigation for potential misconduct during the Trump-Russia probe, including allegedly making false statements to Congress. This, according to sources at the Department of Justice who spoke with Fox News Digital. Josh Holmes told Fox News this has been a long time coming.
Yeah, this is obviously new information, but it also corroborates what many of us who've been watching this since 2016 have known all along, which is you had nefarious actors within the intelligence community that were putting their thumb on the scale. Recall just a trip down memory lane. It was Brennan himself who was the one who was pushing then Speaker Ryan and then Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to try to issue a statement before the 2016 election alleging Russian interference on behalf of President Trump. Now, obviously, they refused to do that, which then became a big discussion in the Comey, all the Comey investigation and everything else. But this is what kicked it off. It was very, very clearly an inside campaign hatched up somewhere. But these folks were in the middle of it, and I think this investigation is a long time coming.
Well, you're right there. It did take a while, but hey, look, better late than never, right? DOJ sources confirmed that CIA Director John Ratcliffe has referred evidence of wrongdoing by Brennan to FBI Director Kash Patel. The investigation reportedly focuses on discrepancies in Brennan's statements under oath versus documented actions surrounding the 2017 intelligence community assessment on Russian interference in the 2016 election. The ICA included claims from the controversial Steele dossier and opposition research that was paid for by Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign and the Democrat National Committee. The dossier has since been discredited. Newly declassified documents revealed that Brennan pushed for the dossier's inclusion in the ICA despite his 2023 congressional testimony asserting that the CIA opposed including it. You got to be careful what you say there because it's going to eventually come back and bite you, and this may just be it. James Comey and John Brennan may be getting their justice after all. A DOJ insider say that this contradiction could form the basis for false statement charges. The CIA review stated, despite objections, Brennan showed a preference for narrative consistency over analytical soundness. He appeared more swayed by the dossier's general conformity with existing theories than by legitimate tradecraft concerns. Look, the dossier said what they wanted it to say, and they wanted to push that narrative. They didn't care if it was true or not. They needed it to justify their investigation of Donald Trump to try to keep him out of the White House. Of course, it didn't work. But boy, you remember all the chaos during that time? You remember all the frustration because we all knew there was nothing to it. But they just kept on. Hillary Clinton would not let it go away. Now, Comey is also under DOJ investigation, though the specific focus right now is undisclosed. Officials suggested the FBI and CIA's joint actions in incorporating the dossier into national intelligence assessments may be viewed as part of a broader conspiracy. This comes, of course, as pressure mounts for accountability from the Trump administration. They're not going to let this lie, and they shouldn't. Donald Trump has not forgotten what this did to him in 2016, even though he ended up winning. And he's not going to let it just pass. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in a statement, President Trump was right again. Those who engaged in this political scandal must be held accountable for the fraud they committed against President Trump and the lies they told to the American people. And that's the biggie. Look, it turned out okay for Donald Trump. I hate that he had to go through what he went through. But to me, the bigger thing here is the lies that you and I were told by our Department of Justice, by our FBI and CIA, two agencies we should be able to trust, two agencies who lost a lot of that trust, and to some people may never get it back. Much of the focus, we're told, centers around the dossier's role in the Crossfire Hurricane investigation, the FBI's 2016 probe into alleged coordination between the Trump campaign and Russian officials. That investigation later led to the appointment of special counsel Robert Mueller, whose finding failed to establish any criminal conspiracy after spending millions and millions of dollars investigating what we knew was just a fraud anyway. Special counsel John Durham's subsequent review found the FBI had relied heavily on Steele's unverified information when obtaining Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, the FISA warrants, against Trump campaign aide Carter Page. Durham concluded that the FBI and the DOJ had failed to act on clear warnings about politically motivated manipulation. Again, they didn't care if it was true or not. They just liked the headlines they knew they would get over on CNN, over on the other network news shows, because they were terrified that Donald Trump was going to win in 2016, which he eventually did. Their terror came true. In addition, previously declassified notes reveal that Mr. Brennan briefed President Obama in 2016 on intelligence that Clinton's campaign had approved a plan to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by Russian security services. I mean, the Obama and Clintons, they knew this, and they ignored it. The Obamas ignored it. We can't expect any better out of Hillary Clinton. She's going to do whatever she has to do to try to win. But we should expect more from Barack Obama, the sitting president at the time. He should have put a stop to it. Now, with these criminal investigations open, both Mr. Brennan, both Mr. Comey, face renewed scrutiny over their roles in what Trump allies call the Russia hoax. The FBI and CIA declined to comment, of course, and neither Mr. Brennan nor Mr. Comey has issued a public statement regarding the investigation. We'll see. They can't run. They can't hide. Also, President Donald Trump's White House is waiving executive privilege for a key member of former President Joe Biden's inner circle. Former White House physician Kevin O'Connor was set to testify this week in House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comey's probe into allegations that had covered up his mental and physical decline while president, and that the White House doctor went along with it. A letter to O'Connor sent by the White House said, in light of the unique and extraordinary nature of the matters under investigation, President Trump has determined that an assertion of executive privilege is not in the national interest and therefore is not justified with respect to particular subjects within the purview of the House Oversight Committee. Look, this is real simple. We just need the truth. Forget about executive privilege. The doctor should want to testify to the best of his ability what was really going on with Joe Biden. It's just that simple. Mr. Comer had subpoenaed Dr. O'Connor last week after he refused to appear voluntarily for a transcribed interview with House investigators. A White House spokesperson called the letter a delay tactic to stonewall the Oversight Committee's investigation. The deposition date has not been changed, and O'Connor could risk defying a congressional subpoena if he does not appear. Send somebody after him. Send the sergeant at arms after him because he should be made to testify. You agree? Joey Hudson here. America is facing a health crisis, and the answer isn't more meds. I lost over 30 pounds on the PhD weight loss plan without Ozempic or any weight loss shots. Don't settle for a lifetime of medication. GLP-1 injections like Ozempic help some people lose weight, but they come with side effects, high cost, and most gain it back when they stop. At PhD Weight Loss, we reveal Big Pharma's big secret. Your body already makes GLP-1, the appetite-fighting hormone. Our program helps your body make it naturally so you'll drop the pounds faster. With the PhD method, no side effects, no long-term risk, no rebound weight gain, just natural, lasting results, all without hunger or cravings. Right now, get a free body scan and personalized metabolic assessment. Discover your body's true potential without a shot. It's free and gives you the keys to your personalized plan. Do like I did and don't trade your health for a quick fix. Call now at 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900 or visit myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com. While we're on the subject of Joe Biden, this next story is probably, you could say, it's as revealing as it is symbolic. It's about secrecy. It's about panic. And it's about how broken the Biden operation became near the end. Here's the story. Let's start with the facts. New York Times reporter Tyler Pager has a new book out. It's titled 2024, How Trump Retook the White House and the Democrats Lost America. That subtitle alone should kind of tell you where this story is going, right? So here's the deal. Mr. Pager, just doing what reporters do, decided to call then-President Joe Biden on his personal cell phone. Guess what? Joe Biden answered. Friendly, willing to chat, said he'd be available for a follow-up the next day, if needed. Now, let that sink in for a minute. The sitting president of the United States, amid the most consequential election of his life, picks up a random phone call from a reporter. There's no handler there with him, no vetting. He just picks up the phone. Now, you might say, well, that's refreshing that the president answers his own phone. Except it wasn't, because that phone call sent Team Biden into full-blown crisis mode. Immediately after the interview, Pager's phone was bombarded with texts and calls from Biden aides, panicked, frantic, demanding to know how he got the number. And you know what happened next? As you can imagine, Pager's number was blocked. 2 days later, Joe Biden's number was disconnected. Got a new number. Now, it would be interesting to know how he got the number, and maybe in the book he eventually tells us. So let me translate this. They shut down President Biden's phone line because a journalist, one of the most Biden-friendly reporters at the New York Times, called and got a quote from the president. That's not press strategy. That's damage control. That's what happens when the illusion of competence is more important than reality. Because what did Biden actually say in the interview? Nothing earth-shattering. He criticized Trump, called his presidency very negative, said he didn't regret dropping out of the race. He was polite, but it wasn't scripted, and that was enough to send the communications team in the Biden office into a tailspin. So ask yourself, what kind of operation did Joe Biden have? I think we kind of know, don't we? The president of the United States answers a call like a normal person, and that's treated like a 5-alarm fire. And this wasn't just a one-off mistake. This is part of a much bigger trend documented in several books released this year. I've read several of them. Fight, I read. Jonathan Allen and Amy Parnes portrays internal chaos and panic. Chris Whipple's Uncharted. I just finished reading it. It paints a picture of a president in a bubble, walled off by operatives terrified of letting the truth leak out and protected by the First Lady, Jill Biden. Jake Tapper, Alex Thompson's Original Sin, I haven't read yet, details the alleged cover-up of Biden's mental decline. I knew these books were coming. I had no idea they'd be this quick. But it's very revealing to hear these stories. What Pager did, making a phone call, broke protocol. And in Biden world, that protocol was simple. Keep the president quiet, protected, and on script. Period. And the moment that wall was cracked, they shut it down fast. They plugged it. They filled it up. Because they couldn't afford to have Joe Biden talking to the press. And, you look at this, it's kind of like Biden was a little child. And Biden, they were afraid that he would just talk about things that he shouldn't talk about, like kids do. And evidently, Joe didn't understand what the problem was with him answering the phone. Oh, boy. Kara Swisher, who interviewed Tyler Pager about the incident, she's not exactly MAGA, but even she saw the truth here, that this is why they lost. This is just a sort of an indicator of just how chaotic the Biden administration was. Because if your entire campaign strategy is built on hiding your candidate from the public, you're not running a democracy, you're running a protected PR firm. This is what people do, billionaires and CEOs of big companies, because they don't have to be out front. They're more protective of their asset. The president of the United States, he's supposed to be out front. He's supposed to be transparent so you and I can see what's going on. That's just part of it. This is why voters checked out. This is why enthusiasm collapsed around Biden. Why even longtime Democrat voters, especially in swing states, started to say, wait, what exactly is going on there? Because they all suspected that Joe Biden really wasn't doing what his handlers and what the White House told us he was doing. If a reporter getting through to the president is a crisis, then what else were they hiding? And again, this wasn't just about cell phones or interviews. This was about control. This was about control of Joe Biden. Biden's team wasn't just managing a campaign. They were managing a decline. They were managing a presidency that was slowly unraveling under the weight of age, confusion, and some of their tightly scripted appearances with teleprompters. You get outside of those comfort zones, and you got trouble, and they knew it. Think about this. 9 former Biden aides have been called to testify in front of the House Oversight Committee over allegations of a coordinated cover-up of the president's cognitive health. We all saw it, even though they were trying to hide it. This is real. The Trump administration is backing the probe, and these aren't bloggers or radio hosts crying foul. This is Congress demanding accountability. And now, on the surface, it looks like evidence is building up. Let's not ignore the fallout. After the Pager story went viral, one of Biden's former speechwriters lashed out on X. He basically said, and I quote, "Is it normal for journalists to have the president's personal cell number? That's insane." Again, I don't know how he got it. Maybe I think I'm going to have to buy a copy of the book to read it to find out if or to see if, in fact, he tells us how he got it. What's insane is a White House that freaks out over a polite reporter asking polite questions. What's insane is needing a public relations army to shield a leader from basic transparency. What's insane is to keep a candidate in the basement of his home. We saw that in 2020, so why are we surprised at how the presidency was? If he never came out on the campaign trail, why are we surprised that he stayed locked up in the basement of the White House? Because the truth is, this team wasn't just managing their message. They were managing Joe Biden's decline. And that makes the leak all the more damaging. So what happens when the man in charge can't speak freely? What happens when his team treats routine communication as a security breach? What happens when "don't worry, he's fine" turns into "quick, change his number"? We got a problem here, Houston. What happens is you have a failed presidency, and somebody finally figured it out, and Joe Biden drops out, as he should have. He should have never started to run to begin with. The Supreme Court yesterday handed President Donald Trump another major procedural win, this time allowing his administration to move forward, at least temporarily, with the sweeping cuts to the federal workforce that were outlined in Executive Order 14210, signed on the first day of his presidency. It was another 6-3 decision. The justices granted the administration's emergency request for a stay, lifting a lower court's injunction that had blocked the executive order, like so many of his executive orders. So the ruling allows agencies to begin implementing the president's plan to restructure and to downsize federal departments while legal challenges continue to work their way through the courts, which means that the justices probably don't think that there's any chance that those cases can be successful. The executive order directs federal agencies to carry out aggressive reorganizations and reductions in force, known as RFIs, targeting what the administration is calling non-essential roles, particularly those deemed outside statutory mandates. Now, the White House has described the move as a lawful and necessary effort to streamline government and to eliminate waste. Critics of the move, though, call it an unconstitutional power grab aimed at dismantling public services without congressional approval. In its unsigned ruling, the conservative majority stopped short of endorsing the legality of any specific agency's cuts, but did say that the administration is likely to succeed in its broader defense of the executive order, meaning that, yes, the president should have the right to do what he promised during the campaign, and that's cut the size of the federal government. Yes, it's painful for some, and I'm sorry. Sorry if you're a federal worker and you've lost your job, but you have to start somewhere. We can't sustain what our government is doing now. We can't sustain the spending. So something's got to be cut. The court wrote, "We express no view on the legality of any agency RIF and reorganization plan produced or approved. Those plans are not before the court." The order had been blocked in May by Federal District Court in California, which called it a presidential overreach. The justice's ruling overturns that injunction, pending appeal in the Ninth Circuit, and potentially a future Supreme Court review on the merits of the case. We'll see. Now, of course, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson had a very sharply worded dissent. She accused the majority of enabling executive overreach without due process or sufficient factual grounding. She wrote, "The court sees fit to step in now and release the president's wrecking ball at the outset of this litigation. It is a structural overhaul that usurps Congress's policy-making prerogatives." Justice Jackson criticized the majority's willingness to act on an emergency basis without full factual record or deliberation, she said. She went on to write, "The temporary practical harm-reducing preservation of the status quo was no match for this court's demonstrated enthusiasm for greenlighting this president's legally dubious actions." Executive Order number 14210 requires agencies to immediately develop and execute plans to reduce their workforce and to consolidate or eliminate programs deemed redundant or ineffective. That ineffective wording, that could probably apply to a lot of federal programs. According to internal administration documents, some agencies may see cuts of 50% or more, with the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health reportedly facing reductions up to 90%. Look, if you have to get rid of an agency, that's fine. Now's the perfect time to eliminate the Department of Education. Our government is too big. We have survived without some of these positions. We can do it again and be better for it. The White House says the order is critical to reducing bureaucracy, improving efficiency, and addressing the federal deficit. Opponents say the cuts could get essential services from worker safety to energy oversight and do so without congressional input. They want to scare you. They want you to think that the government's going to shut down. Labor unions, nonprofit groups opposing the order were swift to condemn yesterday's ruling. The American Federation of Government Employees, which brought the original legal challenge, warned of severe disruption of public services. Their statement said today's decision has dealt a serious blow to our democracy. Reorganizing government and laying off federal workers en masse without any congressional approval is not allowed by our Constitution. Well, look, we need our Republican majority to go ahead and pass this to make it permanent. Let Congress approve of the plan and take this argument away. The union is vowing to keep fighting the court, the order in court, calling it a reckless plan that jeopardizes the safety and health of communities nationwide. The Trump administration, of course, very excited. They praised the decision. They're calling it a victory for executive authority and government reform. Principal Deputy Press Secretary Harrison Fields said today's Supreme Court ruling is another definitive victory for the president. It clearly rebukes the continued assaults on the president's constitutionality or constitutional authority of executive powers by the leftist judges. The administration has described the order as part of a broader push for government liberation, promising to make federal agencies more responsive, making them more lean, and focus more on getting results for the American people. Who can argue with that? I don't care if you are a leftist. You're paying taxes too. Why wouldn't you want your federal government leaner and more cost effective in order to get our budget under control, get our spending under control? Why wouldn't you be in favor of this? Now, you need to understand the ruling allows implementation to proceed. It does not settle the legal matter. And this battle is going to rage on. If the Ninth Circuit upholds the original injunction or if the Supreme Court later reverses course, the order could once again be paused or invalidated. For now, however, agencies have the green light to begin executing their reorganization plans, marking what could be the largest government shakeup in generations. Let's hope they do it quickly before another rogue judge tries to step in and stop it. On the text line, Joey, Gavin Newsom is a disgusting example of a human, and I do not welcome him to Lawrence County. And you can bet James Clyburn has brought him in to finish brainwashing low intelligence folks. You're probably right there, Faye. Faye says, and Musk is trying to destroy the Republican Party to spite Trump. Mr. Musk needs to realize spite work never works. These two give me a headache, Joey. God bless them. Please protect our country. You're right, Faye. Appreciate your text message. Katrina writes, hey, Joey. Oh, this is good. Katrina says that she signed up to go see Gavin Newsom in Pickens. You know, today's the day, right? Gavin Newsom's going to be in the upstate later today. Katrina says, I'm super curious to hear him speak to voters. I think it is odd he is avoiding Greenville, but the South Carolina Dems may have a good idea of where the libs live. Well, I don't think it's Pickens. Pickens is a pretty conservative county. Katrina says, we went to see RFK when he announced, and he had a good turnout. I think Newsom is just testing the waters, and this gives the South Carolina Dems a chance to build a contact list in the upstate. I think they're hoping to ID liberal voters that are new to South Carolina. Maybe so. Maybe so. And look, that's exactly why Gavin Newsom decided to spend some time in the Palmetto State, because he's testing the waters. He's seeing how the winds are blowing. And if he has any chance of securing the Democrat national nomination for president in 2028. Gavin Newsom's going to be in the news a lot, folks, so we're just going to have to hold our nose and and try to get through these next few years, because we're going to see a lot of him. And look, he may be their nominee. Who else do you think it could be? Let's do a little text me or email me who you think could potentially be the Democrat nominee for president in 2028. You can leave me a message too on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Always remember, when you go to mypillow.com to use promo code Joey and get the very best deal that you can possibly get. For example, Mike Lindell and the MyPillow employees want to thank all of you listeners for your continued support. Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of their life, and he didn't stop by creating the best pillow. He created some of the best bed sheets ever. Do you have some MyPillow bed sheets? Mike Lindell is offering the best deal on his Percale bed sheets. You can get, you ready for this? Set for as low as $24.98, but you got to use promo code Joey. So call 800-893-4059 or go to MyPillow.com. The MyPillow Percale sheets are breathable. They have a cool, crisp feel. I promise you, they're so comfortable. They have deep pockets to cover those big mattresses. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep when you combine them with a MyPillow. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive $100 in free digital gifts. So call 800-893-4059, 800-893-4059, or just simply go to MyPillow.com. Use promo code Joey. Receive the MyPillow Percale sheets for as low as $24.98. Order them now. Call 800-893-4059. Use promo code Joey. Check out some pillows. Check out the towels. Check out the bathrobes. Check out the bedroom shoes, the bedroom slippers. They are so comfortable. You want to wear them all day. MyPillow.com, promo code Joey. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at FurmanFord.com, FurmanFord.com. Continuing with some text messages here. Jennifer, hey, Joey, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Elon turned on Trump in a nasty way. He lost trust with most of us. Now he's planning payback that will hurt Trump's conservative movement. We know he is talented, brilliant, but he must be planning to be the Ross Perot upset for the 2026 midterms. I don't appreciate it at all. America's party will sound good to some who are poorly informed and easily led, not your listeners. You're right, Jennifer, because you guys are the smartest people I know. You're the best pollsters. You're the best political operatives. You always are thinking ahead. So you're right. Albert on the text line as well writes, in the 70s, I hunted the Duke Ranch in the hill country of Texas. All of the gully road crossings on the ranch had warning signs stating, warning, sudden flash flooding possible during rainstorms. Stay on high ground. Mr. Duke also warned us about being in low drainage areas during rainstorms. I've seen a dry gully turn into a raging stream during heavy rainfall. Let's all be in prayer for those who are suffering from this devastating flood. You're right, Albert. We do. We need to pray for the families who are affected. Pray for the first responders who are still hard at work out there trying to find people. And, of course, Texas Governor Greg Abbott says they're not going to stop until every single person is accounted for. There was a bit of news out of Texas today, though. We have the update for you. And it was a little unsettling that evidently they've had some issues with getting the numbers correct. And the governor made it clear that these new numbers are correct, but they're unfortunately higher than what had been reported. Currently, at least 109 people have died in the flash floods in Central Texas over this past weekend. with at least 161 still missing. Now, that 161 is the number that was quickly elevated. Authorities said, gave this out in their update yesterday afternoon. Governor Abbott told reporters in the press briefing that those figures are likely to rise due in part to the area's popularity with campers, people who were camping in the area that maybe just haven't been reported missing yet. Kerr County Sheriff Larry Letha said that hundreds of first responders are on the scene in the flooded areas around the Guadalupe River. Local, federal, state personnel working to recover bodies, locate missing people. 5 campers, 1 counselor from Camp Mystic are still missing. The camp, of course, located in Hunt, Texas, confirmed Monday that at least 27 children and counselors died in the flood. Identification is pending for 19 adults and 7 children who were found dead. Yeah, it made me think about this story earlier in the week where some of the camp counselors, realizing that they were in trouble, started writing these kids' names on their arms, on their so that if they drown, they could be more easily identified. That would have had to have been horrifying in leading up to that time, knowing that they were in trouble, they were trapped, had nowhere to go. When asked about the people who are missing, the sheriff said, "It's hard to know the number. I know the numbers that we found, and that's all I know." The camp, in another statement release, said, "Our hearts are broken alongside our families that are enduring this unimaginable tragedy. We are praying for them constantly. We've been in communication with local and state authorities who are tirelessly deploying extensive resources to search for our missing girls." Can you imagine the heartbreak those families are going through right now? The ones who have already recovered their children and they're having funerals now, but the ones who just don't know. I'm sure there's a glimmer of hope that they could be found alive. That's probably not likely, unfortunately. But there have been some stories. Read a story yesterday of a young lady who was able to get into a tree, and she'd been in a tree for a couple of days waiting for someone to come rescue her. Maybe there'll be some stories like that for some of these campers. President Donald Trump on Sunday signed a major disaster declaration for Kerr County and directed the Federal Emergency Management Agency to respond to the floods. The president said he's planning to visit Texas maybe on Friday. Told reporters that he would have gone sooner, but that he would have been in their way during the response. And he's right. He's right to recognize that. I've always thought how crazy it is sometimes, and Joe Biden was the worst. Look, maybe other presidents did it too. I just happened to notice it with Biden. It's like, you know how disruptive a presidential visit is anyway. They got to stop air in the area. No flights in and out from the local airport. Roads are literally closed down for the motorcades. It's very disruptive. And so I'm glad that President Trump recognizes that. Right now, they're working around the clock to try to find the missing campers and other missing people in the area. Don't pull them away from that. Don't disrupt them. Let them do their job. There's time for the president. What's he going to do anyway? So he sees it. He's already authorized FEMA to go in there. So I think President Trump is being very sensitive to the needs of that area, and kudos to him for doing that. Senator Ted Cruz said that, quote, "It's a miracle more children didn't lose their lives." He said, "I've never seen anything as horrific. The cabins had 8 feet of water in them." The senator said his daughters had attended summer camp in the Central Texas region for the past decade. He said the Hill Country is an incredible part of Texas, part of the country. That natural beauty is incredible. The camps that have raised generations of little girls and little boys and instilled character and love and faith are extraordinary institutions. It is devastating for this camp. Questions, of course, are mounting, though, about what officials did to warn campers and residents who were responding or spending the July 4th holiday weekend and their response to it. There's a small Texas town nearby that has recorded 0 deaths from last weekend's flood. but it had recently upgraded its emergency alert system, kind of equipment that state and county officials repeatedly balked at installing just a few miles away in Kerr County. And this is going to come under scrutiny. Again, I hope they don't start pointing fingers too soon. Our priority needs to be on finding these other children. But they do need to take a deep look, a deep dive into how this happened, and if an early warning system could have saved these girls' lives, why was it in place? This system in Comfort, Texas, included a newly installed siren that blared a warning for residents to evacuate well before the river breached its bank. Now listen to this. This unincorporated community, about 2,300 residents, lost 10 young campers at the Pot of Gold Christian Camp when the same river overflowed in July 1987 after a severe rainstorm. Evidently, they learned from that, and they made improvements to their outdoor warning system, and they announced this in a social media post just recently. I got a feeling that Kerr County probably will be doing likewise. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.